The night before the wedding was filled with a strange silence that felt heavier than noise. Everyone in the house was busy with preparations, laughter, and last-minute instructions, yet inside Ayan's heart there was a quiet storm. He sat by the window, watching the moonlight fall softly on the empty street, wondering how one single night could change an entire life. Marriage was not new to the world, but for him, it felt like stepping into unknown water. He was not afraid of responsibility, but he feared misunderstanding, distance, and the possibility of failing someone who would trust him with her whole life. His parents had taught him that marriage was not about grand romance, but about patience, respect, and standing together when life became difficult. That night, those lessons echoed in his mind more loudly than any celebration. On the other side of the city, Zara sat quietly on her bed, her wedding dress hanging neatly nearby, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Her room was filled with familiar memories, childhood photographs, and the comforting scent of her mother's presence. She felt excitement, but also a deep ache, knowing she was about to leave the home where she had learned what love truly meant. Zara had always believed that love was not something loud or dramatic. It was gentle, like her father's habit of checking the locks every night or her mother's silent prayers before dawn. As she prepared to start a new chapter, she promised herself that she would carry those values with her, no matter what challenges awaited her. The wedding day passed in a blur of emotions, smiles, and blessings. Families came together, hands were joined, and prayers were whispered for a future filled with peace. When the celebrations finally ended and the noise faded, Ayan and Zara found themselves in a quiet room, alone for the first time as husband and wife. The silence returned, but this time it was different. It was not heavy, it was thoughtful. They sat on opposite sides of the room, unsure of how to begin, both aware that this moment would shape the memories they carried forever. Ayan was the first to speak, his voice calm but sincere. He told Zara that he did not know how to be perfect, but he promised to be honest, patient, and kind. He admitted that he believed love was something that grew slowly, through understanding and shared struggles. Zara listened carefully, her eyes reflecting both relief and respect. She replied softly, saying she did not expect perfection, only sincerity and effort. She shared her own fears, her hope that they would always speak with kindness, even when they disagreed, and that they would never let silence turn into distance. That first night was not filled with dramatic words or unrealistic expectations. Instead, it was shaped by mutual respect and gentle understanding. They spoke about their families, their dreams, and their worries. Zara talked about her desire to continue learning and contributing to the world beyond her home, while Ayan shared his hope of building a life where both of them felt valued and supported. Each word they exchanged became a small step toward trust, laying the foundation of a bond that was still new but already meaningful. In the days that followed, reality began to settle in. Marriage was not just about shared smiles, it was also about shared responsibilities. Ayan worked long hours, often returning home tired and quiet, while Zara adjusted to a new environment, learning routines and expectations that were different from her own. There were moments of misunderstanding, when silence felt easier than conversation, and days when small issues seemed bigger than they truly were. Yet, each time tension appeared, one of them chose patience over pride, opening the door to conversation instead of conflict. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Zara waited for Ayan with a cup of tea, her hands trembling slightly with nervousness. When he arrived, she noticed the exhaustion in his eyes and realized that his silence was not distance but fatigue. Instead of questioning him, she simply offered the tea and a quiet smile. That small act spoke louder than words. Ayan felt seen and understood, and in that moment, he realized that love often lived in the simplest gestures. Ayan, too, learned to recognize Zara's unspoken emotions. When she missed her family, he listened without trying to fix her feelings. He encouraged her to stay connected with her loved ones, understanding that her happiness was not a threat to their marriage, but a strength within it. Slowly, they learned that marriage was not about losing oneself, but about growing together, supporting each other's individuality while building a shared life. Life, however, does not test relationships gently. A sudden financial difficulty challenged their sense of stability, bringing worry and fear into their home. There were nights when sleep did not come easily, when both lay awake, thinking about responsibilities and uncertain futures. During those times, they reminded each other of their promises. Zara took small steps to contribute, using her skills to help ease the burden, while Ayan remained open and appreciative, never allowing pride to block partnership. Their struggles became lessons in teamwork, teaching them that love was strongest when carried by two willing hearts. As months turned into years, their bond deepened, shaped by shared experiences and quiet sacrifices. They celebrated small achievements and stood together through disappointments. They learned that disagreements were not signs of failure, but opportunities to understand each other better. Each challenge they faced added another layer of trust, another reason to believe in the strength of their relationship. One night, long after the excitement of the wedding had faded into memory, Ayan and Zara sat together under the same moonlight that had once witnessed their separate fears. The silence between them was no longer uncertain. It was comfortable and warm. Ayan reflected on how that first night had been the beginning of everything, not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. Zara smiled, realizing that love had grown quietly, through patience and shared effort, into something stronger than either of them had imagined. Their story was not one of dramatic romance or grand promises, but of everyday choices made with care. It was a reminder that true love is not found in flawless moments, but built through understanding, respect, and the courage to face life together. As they looked toward the future, they knew challenges would continue to come, but they also knew they would meet them side by side, with hearts that had learned how to listen, forgive, and grow. The moral of their journey was simple yet powerful. Love is not a feeling that appears suddenly and stays forever without effort. It is a commitment to choose kindness over anger, patience over haste, and understanding over judgment. It is the willingness to walk together through uncertainty, holding on to respect even when emotions are tested. In a world that often searches for quick romance, Ayan and Zara's story stood as a gentle reminder that the most meaningful love is the one that grows slowly, guided by sincerity and sustained by shared values.